My name is Matt Sment. I'm from Rockford, Illinois, and I am a Tenkara angler. There's a couple ways I can answer that. On one hand, Tenkara is a sport, and it's a way for me to get outside and be active and interact with nature. And on the other hand, it's a relationship with those places that I go, with those streams that I go, that I build. Essentially, Tenkara is a way for me to be me. I fish Tenkara because I'm too clumsy to use two hands. In reality, I fish Tenkara because it puts the least amount of barriers in between me and the fish. It gets me as close to the fish and to the environment that I'm fishing in as I can get. By taking away the reel and taking away all of the unnecessary tools, it's just me versus the fish. It's as close to me versus the fish as I can get without just kind of sticking my hand in the water and trying to grab a fish. So in order for me to have competition with a creature that has had millions of years to perfect its ability to evade me, it allows me to go out and put myself in competition against biological systems that have been perfected over a very long time, whereas I've only had, 49 years to figure out what I'm doing. So that challenge level and pitting myself against nature in that way, and also in a way that is also natural within that environment, in that predator-prey relationship. There's a lot in there. It's competitiveness with myself and with the environment, and it is that direct, close, sincere, intimate relationship with nature that I'm looking to build. My go-to Tenkara rod is an Oni Hunter 395 that I've had custom built out with a carbon fiber grip. Jeff Lamino from Riverworks took a rod that I thought was already perfect and made it even better. There's other rods out there that I enjoy fishing, and I have about a half dozen in my quiver, but that's always gonna be my go-to rod. And when I fish it, I typically fish a rod length of line minus about a foot, so the line usually goes to the top of the drift, and then about an arm and a half of tippet material. I try to maximize the length of the tippet. I try to go as long as the tippet will go and still effectively turn over the fly and present it properly. And that usually ends up being with a 13-foot rod, about a 12-foot line, and about 4 feet of tippet. I'm casting in the 25 to 28-ish, maybe 30 feet if I stand on my tippy toes and stretch range. The kabari I use most frequently would be whatever kabari someone who ties kabari gifts me with, because I don't tie a lot of flies. The wet fly that I fish the most, which I think you could very easily, sub for kabari in this instance, would be the Pass Lake, which to my understanding was developed in Wisconsin. And the way I came about that was in a discussion about how kabari are hyper-local to the environments that they are fished in. I mentioned to a friend that, hey, maybe I should find some wet flies that are hyper-local to Wisconsin. He said, oh, the Pass Lake is a Wisconsin wet fly, and he tied me up a dozen, and I tell you, they will catch trout anywhere in the United States, a size 12 or a size 14 Pass Lake. I can't tell you what the fish think it is, because it doesn't look like a bug, but they like eating it. And that is, if I have it, it's the Pass Lake, 100%. Well, no, not as intended. It can be. You can take a Tenkara rod and fish it as a cane pole. If you do, you're really kind of wasting, in my opinion, about 95% of the rod's capability, because let me back up a step. It's easy to look at a longer Tenkara rod and see the potential for pole fishing and dunking. But what you don't see, and what I think a lot of people who look at Tenkara and see cane pole fishing, is the flex profile of the rod. A pole, a cane pole, would be inflexible, and it resists the fish. And doesn't move a lot when it's casting, and you're more kind of chunking and plunking than casting. And whereas with a Tenkara rod, you've got a completely different flex profile, which allows the energy to transmit through the rod and through the line and cast the rod versus chuck the tackle, which is what you'd be doing with a cane pole. And then additionally, I think you've got a significantly larger body of potential manipulations and techniques available to you on a Tenkara rod versus a pole, because of those flex profiles give you the ability to do to manipulate the fly in more subtle manners than you could with an inflexible pole. So in short, no. Just like Tenkara is Tenkara, just like saltwater fishing is saltwater fishing. If you're going to go pick up a magazine for saltwater fishing, it's not going to have bass fishing or fly fishing or whatever specific type of fishing isn't that type of fishing, involved in it, because it isn't. And so, there's a lot of Tenkara rod fishing to be done that isn't Tenkara. You can fish with a Tenkara rod in a non-Tenkara way, but Tenkara fishing is manipulating wet flies for trout, typically on higher gradient streams, although I argue that while we have lower gradient streams here in Wisconsin, the techniques are absolutely as valid here, as valid as they are on high gradient streams, and that it's the same thing. But the facts are that the further you get away from fishing for trout on mountain streams with wet flies with a Tenkara rod, the further from Tenkara you're getting.
I should have been recording that. That'll be in the outtakes.
Say that again. All right, get ready for this one. This is a kind of a curveball, fun one.
Bam.